we're back. Second half of chapter 10. Oh, there we are, right there. I'm going to be mentioning this next. Entertainment Weekly magazine. We were on the cover. What's the worst movie ever made? And that was June 10th, 2005. That was a while ago. And then earlier I mentioned the Playboy magazine article. I think that was 2015, October. And that's on the cover too. It says the worst movie ever made. It's a 7-page article. It starts with my name. Crazy. Okay, let's get started here. Second half, chapter 10, The Film That Wouldn't Die. A year later, in June 2005, Entertainment Weekly published a 7-page article by Dalton Ross on Manos, with a reference on the cover officially bestowing the title that fans had long held close: the worst movie ever made. Ross describes the film as a story of more than incompetence. It's about hope, possibilities, embarrassment, humiliation, tragedy, and finally, redemption. One way that redemption manifested was that Manos started showing up on film school class lists and taught us everything not to do in filmmaking, attracting another genre of fans: young filmmakers, actors, and creative types. Some of them became captivated and haunted by Manos, turning to it for ideas for their own projects. Manos, Rock Opera of Fate, a musical by Stephen Atanasi and Andy Grigg, was performed by the New Millennium Theater Company in Chicago at the National Pastime Theater in November 2007. The play, which was written to be deliberately bad in homage to the original, didn't do well. The company had to offer half-price tickets to fill seats. One Chicago reviewer wrote, "Skip the movie, skip the musical. But if you must, at least try to get your hands on the killer weed the giggling college students must have smoked before curtain time." On the other hand, it was noteworthy enough for another theater group to pick it up and put it on stage at the Scottish Rite Signature Theater in Wichita, Kansas in October 2013. A promotion for the show proclaimed that this show was the next Rent. Brian Kosh's 2008 first production of his parody stage play of Manos, The Hands of Fate in Portland, Oregon, enjoyed sold-out performances for its entire run. Like most people, I first saw Manos in 1993 when MST3K unveiled its hidden magic to the world and riffed away in one of their greatest riff jams ever, he wrote. It all worked in their favor. The movie was horrible on so many levels: sound, lighting, editing, story, plot, pacing, rhythm, dialogue, acting, and cinematography, that it provided them a unique and spacious platform to riff. It quickly became my favorite at the top of a list of their amazing movie-enhancing experiences. I repeatedly returned to Manos over the years, and at some point along the way, thought it would be a blast to adapt it to the stage. Brian's musical and bill-paying career as frontman for a popular indie Portland, Oregon group, Blitzentrapper, took off about that time, and he found himself touring a great deal over the next few years. In 2013, he had an extended break, and looking for a project in the interim, chose a new version of his earlier play. One of the changes he made was for the character of Debbie to be played by a doll, who was voiced from offstage by an adult trying to sound like a child, as in the original dubbed movie. After learning that I lived less than 2 hours away from Portland, he contacted me to see if I would be willing to play the voice of the doll from the sound and light booth. I answered much faster than my decision to be in the 1966 version as a child. It was a blast, and I thoroughly enjoyed the audience interaction after each night's performance. The play was hilarious, with one of the wives doubling in his role as the sheriff, and the kissing couple genders reversed. There were clever sets and props with cactus running down the aisles and then past the driving stationary car on stage. Personally, I found poetic justice in doing Debbie's voice as a middle-aged woman playing a child's part. A couple of years before Brian found me, I was contacted by Philip Francis, who was looking to make a Manos sequel and wanted Dad and me to be a part of it. The film was never completed, but by the time it fizzled out, we had finished Dad's scene in May 2010. Diane Marie was enticed to join with her part filmed in December. Brian Jennings, son of the original sheriff, came on board as the sequel sheriff, getting his scenes filmed too. All in all, about a fifth of the whole thing was done after a talented and varied cast and crew had been assembled. Former WWE wrestler Gene Snitsky and Ryan Jimmo of mixed martial arts fame were slated to be my co-stars. Jimmo of mixed martial arts fame, sorry, I'm not re-recording this. Director of cinematography was Jay Lee, director of Zombie Strippers, and writer, director, and producer of Alice Kills, both on Netflix. Although Philip ran out of both money and goodwill, good people were brought together and have remained friends as a result. In 2011, I learned through the magic of the internet of a young man in California who had just bought the original Manos 16mm work print in an eBay auction. Ben Solovay and I connected, and he told me of his intention to restore it and to fund the project through a Kickstarter campaign. I expressed my excitement and support of his project and watched in wonder as the campaign sailed past its original goal of $10,000 in less than a week. In the end, 818 backers had pledged $48,130. His project to restore Manos began in December 2011 and was released almost 4 years later on HD Blu-ray through the distributor Synapsis. It reached the Amazon Top 30 list based on pre-orders before its October 15, 2015 official release date. Before Ben had found a distributor, but after he had completed most of the work, he offered to screen the restoration at film festivals and other venues. I had the pleasure of getting an invitation to several and an opportunity to meet and talk to fans. My first trip as a special guest was to the El Paso Classic Film Festival in August 2012, where Manos was shown in a lineup of 40 of some of the most famous classic films. My name was on the roster with other special guests, including Tippi Hedren and Al Pacino. My second invitation came from the Hollywood Reel Independent Film Festival in Los Angeles to attend the restoration screening with Ben at the New Bev Cinema on December 12, 2012. December 5th, 2012. Brian Jennings flew out from Idaho, and the three of us remained afterward for Q&A. We were the last film in the evening, and the enthusiastic audience kept us engaged until 1 a.m. When the festival organizers kicked us out with, "Sorry guys, you can keep talking, but you have to go outside." A group of us continued visiting at Cantor's Deli. There I was approached by a handsome and gracious older man who took my hand, telling me how much he enjoyed the screening and my personal stories about the film, and encouraged me to continue keeping it alive. "Your daddy must be so proud of you," he said. I later learned that the gentleman was the famous Clu Gulager. Since then, Ben's restoration has been shown at a number of venues, including the 2013 Night Visions Festival in Helsinki, Finland, and the Montreal, Canada 2015 Fantasia Festival. On August 16, 2012, Riff Tracks teamed with Fathom Events to host a special one-night live event for their Best of Riff Tracks series featuring Manos, the Hands of Fate at the Belcourt Theater in Nashville. Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy riffed before a live audience in one theater while simultaneously broadcasting live to 500 select theaters around the country. I watched anonymously from Salem, Oregon with a group of friends and laughed until my stomach hurt. In August 2013, puppeteer Rachel Jackson in Seattle did a new version of her show, Manos, the Hands of Felt, which had originally played to a sold-out crowd in 2011. For the second run, she launched a successful Kickstarter to fund the video filming of the show and create DVD and downloadable versions. The Hands of Felt Kickstarter was doing pretty well on its own when Wil Wheaton, star of Star Trek, The Next Generation, tweeted about it. On the last day of the Kickstarter, Rachel watched transfixed as the dollar amount rose and passed her initial goal of $10,000 to earn $13,552 before about $1,000 in fees to Kickstarter. The boost from Wil Wheaton, I think it was Tumblr post, actually was huge, she recalls. I thought he had said something like, "I want this to happen," and I'm pretty sure Will had never seen the first live show in 2011. We went from 80% funded to fully funded in 12 hours. Such is the magical power of celebrity. The very same week Rachel's play was performed, Ben Solovey was scheduled to screen his Manos restoration at the Seattle Independent Film Festival. I was invited to come along as a guest and to engage the audience afterward with Ben and Brian Jennings. It was great fun to talk to fans face to face as a minor celebrity, meet a few Facebook friends, and make new ones. This beloved horrible movie has shown up in a variety of other venues, including mainstream television. In 2008, Manos was referenced in the first minute of 10 Sessions, an episode from the third season of How I Met Your Mother, in a disagreement over whether Manos, the Hands of Fate or Plan 9 from Outer Space is the worst movie ever made. John Reynolds as Torgo takes center stage on the television program Elementary in the Iceman Cometh episode, Season 3, Episode 17, March 12, 2015, where the plot revolves around Torgo's fictional character who is accused of murder. Cassandra Peterson as Elvira gave it the treatment in 2011 on her show. In July 2012, Freak Zone Games creator Sam Beddoes released Manos, the Hands of Fate for iPhone, featuring graphics and sound inspired by the old Nintendo games of the 80s. He released a director's cut of the game in October 2015, which was instantly rated as one of the 6 best games inspired by a bad movie, according to Riff Tracks' Bill Corbett. This game will be bigger than Skyrim. Manos got mentioned in nationally syndicated comic strip Sally Forth in December 2012, in which Sally's husband, Ted, and 12-year-old daughter, Hillary, are discussing MST3K. There is a Manos coloring book by Keith McCafferty, a talented Florida graphic artist, and a fun graphic novel by David Chadwick called Mystery Science Storybook that reimagines 14 of Riff Tracks and MST3K's most famous cult classics as bedtime stories, and Manos is featured on the cover. More recently, Steve Sullivan, author of more than 50 books, published 2 Manos novelizations that explore the story and characters in much more depth. One is a comedy and one is a horror. Uber Manos fan Tony Trombo created Manos, the Band of Fate, a tribute band to the film, with the intention of taking the show on the road. He even has a song about me. A prequel titled Torgo Lives by David Roy is in post-production at this writing. In it, I have a cameo as the god Manos. It's a small thing, but I had fun with it. As of this writing, I've not seen it, so can only trust that it's better than the original. A comedy horror remake is in pre-production by an El Paso group that seems to be serious, and I'm currently co-producer on a Manos sequel, Manos Returns, working with a talented group including Tanya Atomic, award-winning Seattle director of Hobo with a Trash Can and Plain Devil. Director of photography is Joe Sherlock, a skull-faced astronaut films. And Rachel Jackson is one of our writers and stars in it. Dad reprised his role of the master in a scene, and we've done a t-shirt fundraiser to be able to pay him something. After all, it's time I play a role. Diane Marie and Nikki Mathis have both agreed to become involved, and Brian Jennings will finally get to be the sheriff in a finished production after waiting so long. And just a break here, that movie never happened, so. Oh yeah, Manos Returns did, sorry. The other one never happened. Manos Returns just came out, woohoo! There are even whispers about a horror comedy remake in El Paso. Many related projects are launched and a few get completed. Some are brilliant and some should never see the light of day. Regardless, Manos has a flawed beauty about it that resonates deep in some people from the start. I've heard it said Manos could become the new Rocky Horror Picture Show, even though Manos predated it by 9 years, and Rocky became an underground hit pretty much right away and has stayed that way since 1975. Maybe it's just taken us a bit longer to catch up, like Torgo carrying luggage or pretty much any scene in Manos. The journey from making the film, losing it for 27 years, and then watching it become a cult phenomenon for the past 22 years has been interesting and fun. Manos has played a role in friendships, camaraderie, special events, holidays, and even wedding and birthday party themes. But even the most fun things can turn dark when shades of possession, self-entitlement, and greed step in, which is exactly what happened. Stay tuned, chapter 11, Going to the Dark Side. Thanks for being here and sitting with me again, and we'll see you next time.